Good afternoon, everyone. This is Rebecca Shigley with IIA&C. I am the Vice President of Agency Resources here, and I'd like to welcome all of our IIA&C members, as well as some of our sister state associations who are interested in our North Carolina chatbot. I'd like to introduce to you Joseph D'Souza, who is the founder and CEO of ProNavigator. He's one of our speakers. IIA&C in April of this year entered into a partnership with ProNavigator to build a chatbot specific to North Carolina insurance agencies to drive sales and production as well as service. And with us, and also a speaker and presenter today, we have Josh Lipstone. And Josh is the principal of Lipstone Insurance Agency in Cary. And Josh is on the IIA&C task force to help develop the North Carolina chatbot. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Joseph and to Josh.
Hi, welcome to today's webinar, everyone. Joseph D'Souza, founder and CEO of ProNavigator. Thank you for that intro, Rebecca, and I think that we have Josh on the line as well. Today I want to talk a little bit, and I think both Josh and I would like to talk about, how agencies can use artificial intelligence to drive sales, service, and productivity, and really to meet the expectations of the current customer. A little bit of background on ProNavigator. We build AI-powered chatbots or virtual assistants specifically for the insurance industry. To guide customers through that purchase and service experience. And really the main benefit of virtual customer assistants help to drive more revenue and improve customer satisfaction, as well as increase agent efficiency for our clients. So I've organized today's webinar into four main sections. The changing customer landscape, the age of AI and augmentation. I apologize here. What is a chatbot? And then we're going to have discussion and Q&A where I have some questions with Josh in terms of how agencies can utilize this and what he's seeing in terms of insurance technology and specifically from an agent perspective. And then we have a special announcement at the end, so please stay around for that. So let's start with changing customer service trends. So as we all know, customers' expectations are changing, partly due to the rising, millennial and Gen Z workforce and generation. But online, mobile chat, it's all about anytime, anywhere, on demand, digital, all the time. And it's really across a plethora of different devices. It's not just our computers, our smartphones. You got virtual assistants, voice assistants, your watches and your wearables. In fact, 2/3 of North American millennials prefer to shop this way and only this way. And I think a perfect example has been the growth of Amazon and its continued expansion into new products all the time. For those of you who are interested in a little stat here, they recently purchased Whole Foods, and they could afford that purely just on the inflation of their stock price in the last few years alone. And in fact, they could have made several purchases like Whole Foods. So it really tells you how important this is to not only the millennial but to the future generations as well. And I think fundamentally, what we're seeing is that we have this firm belief that there's this shift from supply to demand, where customers today have all the power. And if you look at the world today and you kind of go down these lists of examples here, there's this massive shift from companies who own the supply having all the value in the world to now those that own the demand now having all the value in the world. The cabs own the supply, but Uber and Lyft own the demand. And you go down these lists of examples, Marriott and Airbnb, Walmart or Amazon. And the truth is, I think that many companies today still think that, they get to dictate how someone is gonna buy their service or their products. Companies that can save you time and create a frictionless buying experience are gonna win. We're living in a world where Uber promises a car is gonna arrive in 3 minutes, and it does. And I think consumers are saying, how come I can't get this kind of predictably great experience, when it comes to things like insurance? So, in that world where we think we're moving towards infinite supply and options, in a world where we think the buyer, meaning all of us, has all the power in the world, all the decision making in the world, we have to reimagine everything. Not only the policies and the products and services we're selling, but how we're selling that, how we're marketing that. How do we buy or build a marketing system or a sales system that lets me provide the best customer experience possible and lets me operate in a way that consumers are demanding. Here you go on your demand, on your terms, when it's convenient to you, not according to my schedule, the company, but your schedule, the buyer. So, we're seeing this massive shift happening, and I think the companies that are looking to provide this technology built around putting the customer ahead are going to win. And you combine that with that increase in online insurance shopping and browsing. The other massive shift that we're seeing is that more and more consumers are preferring to communicate with businesses through chat and messaging. There's over 66% of people would rather use chat than a phone call to communicate with a business. And there's over 60 billion messages sent daily. So people are using messaging to communicate every day. And we're starting to see a lot of companies shift to bringing their services to that messaging environment. I mean, I don't know if you find this true for you, but I have friends who always prefer that I chat or text them, over a phone call. Maybe I need new friends. I don't know, but I think this is starting to become the norm now, where consumers are preferring this way to reach their brands. And another big event that actually just happened this year is that Apple launched their business chat. So with business chat, Apple's kind of jumping on this whole messaging bandwagons and allowing the ability for consumers to chat with businesses over iMessage and also deeply integrated into your iPhone. So I think according to some estimates, there's almost 1 billion iPhones in use today around the world. When you look at those numbers, it isn't hard to see how the immediate availability of the message button embedded in search results and Siri and Maps and Safari is going to really catch on with the growing number of businesses opening up to accepting inquiries via messaging. So our customer service needs to be predicated on where that attention is and what consumers' expectations are. But the challenge is human support is expensive. Industry averages in the insurance industry are around $4 for a human agent to staff a live chat conversation, and up to $20 for a phone conversation. And then that doesn't take into account, after hours and weekends where customers are looking and wanting to get help and assistance. So, how do we meet these customers' expectations at scale, right? How do we scale customer support? So I want to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence or AI, and it's something I'm really excited about. So if I get a little geeky here, bear with me. But AI or sometimes machine learning, it's probably the one thing that I think will have the biggest impact on almost everything that we can imagine. And that sounds like a pretty big statement, but I truly believe this technology will be a horizontal enabler across nearly every industry. So so what does all this mean? Well, I think to me AI, simply put, is an area of computer science that emphasizes the creation of intelligent software or intelligent machines that work and respond like humans. So these include things like speech recognition, image recognition, predictive text. I think economists agree that there's been kind of 4 major historical work eras, defined by how we work. So we've had the hunter-gatherer age, we've had the agricultural age, we've had the industrial age, and now we're in the information age. But I'd argue that today, and a lot of people agree, that we're on the cusp of this next great era, where we're in the age of augmentation, right? So in this age, our work processes and our natural capabilities will be accelerated and augmented through computer systems. In fact, we already live dramatically augmented lives. Someone asks you a question you don't know the answer to. If you've got one of these devices, you can pull up an answer in a few seconds. And I believe this is the purpose of AI. It's really to empower and enhance us with machine intelligence. And as machines get smarter, we get smarter. So we're in the middle of this renaissance in AI right now, and in the past few years, we're beginning to see a lot of solutions to AI problems that we've struggled with literally for decades, with speech understanding, image understanding, text understanding, and this is where chatbots come in. So essentially, chatbots now can be AI powered or not, but it's essentially combining chat and a dialogue system, and it understands text. It understands what the intent is of a user, and then it can help us out. So if I say something like, I've got a Honda Pilot, how much is that going to cost? Then it will understand that the intention is that I'm trying to get a quote, and the type of quote is auto. And I think some of the real value of chatbots in particular is that 24/7 on demand, right? It's never sleeps. It's always on. It's always there and available to help out. It's really frictionless. So, a visitor lands on your website, or even in a messaging app like a Facebook Messenger or an SMS. You can just start a conversation. There's no need to download anything. It's frictionless. You just say hi and the conversation starts. And I'm going to do a demo a little later on as well. And it's scalable, right? One system like this, one virtual system, one chatbot can talk to 10, 20, 30, if not hundreds of users at the same time. And you kind of look at the evolution. I think chatbots are just the next evolution in self-service. So, with these virtual AI-powered assistants, you can answer customers' questions, you can help them get quotes, file requests, retrieve policy information, all done through chat. So you're through the power of this conversational interface, you're opening up a communication channel that's letting potential customers get assistance when it's convenient for them while they're live on your website. So capturing, qualifying, and connecting with your leads in real time, I think, is the next wave of sales and marketing. So I want to kind of show you a little bit under the hood and show you how a chatbot learns. So essentially at the core backend is something called natural language processing, and it parses out the sentence. So I'd given that example earlier today. So the intent of the user was to get a quote, and the insurance type or the entity is auto. And then once we do that, so we basically feed these algorithms tens of thousands of insurance-specific examples of conversations. And the next time it sees a question, it says, aha, I recognize this. The user, wants to get a quote, and the type of insurance is auto. And so we can then match that to a predefined response to say, happy to help you with your auto request. I've got 10 questions I need to ask in order to get started. So, historically, a developer would have had to almost, enumerate all the possible ways someone might say something, and that was a big stumbling block for a long time. But a lot of the recent systems, with intent recognition, they can understand the underlying meaning of what someone says, and then using word associations, find the closest, expression and respond to that. So at the core is a natural language understanding model, and then you have this dialogue engine, dialogue manager that responds to the user, and it's pulling from this pre-trained knowledge base. There's something I want to kind of highlight here. There's kind of two main models that you can have in a chatbot. You might have heard of some of these in the news. So you've got a retrieval or a rules-based model where it's predefined. So you essentially script out exactly what you want your chatbot to say, and it's only going to ever select one of those predefined responses. And that's the one that we use, especially within insurance. We only use a rules or retrieval-based model. And then you have generative models, which actually can, train on lots of data, and then they can actually generate their own responses. So some of the advantages of a generative model is that, it's probably better at handling unseen cases because it can it actually learn on its own and come up with its own responses. But the challenge there is that, it could potentially go off script and say things that you didn't want it to say. And so for that reason, we always use a kind of a rules-based, retrieval-based model. Andrew Ng is a very famous scientist, said, most of the value in deep learning and AI today is in very narrow domains. So narrow domains where you take a process and you apply, data in these algorithms to is where you see the best results. So Gartner did a study earlier this year on kind of the customer experience, and they predict that by 2020, 25% of customer service operations will use a virtual customer assistant. So it's something they continue to see growing and growing. And I think the benefits are very clear. There's reduction in call volume, increased customer satisfaction because they could get answers immediately, and cost savings, versus a phone call. And they predict 30% will employ AI to augment sales as well by 2020. So some of the problems here with traditional online experiences is that, sorry, my screen's been blocked here. Give me a sec. Users find that the site's hard to navigate. they can't get answers to simple questions, and it takes too long to find a service. Basic details are hard to find. Poorly designed smartphone apps or search options on a website are not useful. Service is not accessible on mobile devices, poor quality online forms, and no service outside normal hours. So these are traditional online experiences, not just insurance across the board. We've all come across these. Some of the benefits of using a virtual AI assistant is that 24-hour service, getting an instant response, and answers to simple questions, easy communication, complaints resolved quickly, a consistent messaging, what you're going to get, and friendliness. And I'll talk a little about friendliness and humanization later as well. So it's clear, I think one of the major benefits consumers see when it comes to using chatbots is that speed. They believe that chatbots will be able to respond to their inquiries more quickly. And so why does that matter to us? And I think from a business perspective, there's a massive upside to providing speedy response times. This was research done by Dr. James Allred, where he showed that when a customer reaches out to your business, response time of 5 minutes or less is the sweet spot. In fact, there's a 10 times decrease in your odds of making contact with a lead after just the first 5 minutes. And to me, this makes a lot of sense because, if I'm trying to decide between competing products and one company is able to answer my questions faster and the other makes me fill out a form and wait, a day or an hour before I'm actually able to talk to anyone, that first company is going to have an edge and likely get my business. So if you see here, this is a screenshot I took where this was an actual wait time, 1 hour and 35 minutes, where I was on hold with my previous insurance carrier. And when a customer support agent finally came on, it was a simple answer to my question that could have been handled a different way. And then, a couple of weeks ago, my appliance went out and I went on, I prefer chat. I went on and initiated the chat, and this was my estimated wait time through chat. So, customers are expecting instant responses, I think even from online chat more than almost any other channel. So for many of our clients, you spend so much time and effort getting people to come to your website, and then often once they get there, they're left to find answers on their own or fill out a form to learn more. And you're taking what's typically a lead form is kind of static. It's really just sitting there waiting for someone to fill out information. It can't answer questions. It can't ask questions. You take that experience and you bring it into this conversational user interface where users can now ask questions as they're going through the process. Today, people are looking for immediate connections to the brands they want to buy from. They don't want to fill out a form only to wait, hear back about next steps after the next couple of days. But with this AI assistant, you eliminate what causes friction in the buying process, and you give potential buyers what they want, when they want it, when it's convenient for them, while they're live on your site. So I'm going to actually jump over here to do a demo of Josh Lipstone's chatbot that he has on his site. So we built this out, and as Rebecca mentioned earlier, in partnership with IINC, and an agency task force, so agency members who actually helped us to build this specifically for the needs of North Carolina and specific definitions for North Carolina. So this is Josh's one. So the minute you land on the website, you're greeted with a welcome message, and again, this can be fully customized for your messaging and your brand. You also have the option to customize what we call an avatar. So you can have your own face there, your own your avatar. Some of our clients have really done a good job of branding their avatar as saying, hey, this is a digital member of our team, and when we're not around, it's here to help you 24/7. So I'm just going to open this up here to get started. And you can see greeting, hey, I'm Sunny, welcome to the Lipstone Insurance Group, how can I help you today? And we've kind of divided up the main sections here around what a user is typically trying to do, get quotes, service requests, or contact information. Now, a couple of things I want to show here. A user can just come in and start asking a question right from the get-go. So as an example, I can say something like, what is water backup of sewer and drains coverage? And so we've trained the assistants on a couple hundred insurance, I think 150 insurance questions and answers specifically for North Carolina. So you can see it answers the question and it jumps right in. So is there anything else I can help you with? Now let's take something specific to North Carolina as well. I just got a consent to rate letter, insurance company. What is this? So it provides me the answer here that consent to rate letter indicates insurance company wants to charge you over the standard rates fee risks. It can be complex to explain fully here. So these answers were again provided by the task force, were really built for North Carolina independent agency. So I'm going to jump in here and get a quote in this case. And what I want to kind of showcase, which is taking us a lot of R&D to build out. As I'm going through a quote process, so let's go to auto, for example. As I'm going through the auto quote request, I can ask questions during this process. So it kicks in, let me help you with your auto insurance quote estimate. I have a few questions to get started. Why are you looking for new auto insurance today? My policy is up for renewal. Is there a current policy in force? So I can ask a question during this time and say something like, am I a high-risk insurance driver? So we've actually then further trained it on as someone's going through the auto flow or the home flow or the business flow, there's certain questions they may ask in that process while they're asking about auto insurance or home insurance or business insurance. And again, the chatbot is trained to answer those questions and provide the answers to it. But more importantly, once it does answer the question, it takes me back. It remembers where I left off before, and it takes me back to finishing that. So that has this robustness where you can kind of jump around in that process, ask questions, and it's able to kind of assist and help out. So I won't go through all the questions here. I'm going to start over to show you a couple more examples. Actually, I could have just typed, I need to pay a bill or something like that, but I want to kind of showcase some of the service requests and contact us as well. So if I go here, I could say something like, I need to pay a bill. Then it asks me which provider am I with. So, we've obviously customized this for the Ellipso Insurance where all the carriers that they partner with are here. So I can do Safeco. And then it gives me a link to make a payment directly, and it takes me right to Safeco's portal to be able to do that. So again, you can see we built the framework, but then the customization for each agency is built in. If I go to contact us here, I could get information on location, phone number, hours, and it also has, do you want me to connect you with an employee directly? I can say yes. It's going to ask me who would I like to connect with. In this case, I know Joshua, so I'm going to type Joshua Lipstone. All right, and pulls up that information. So we can put in the information of all your team members. So I think of what's I'll kind of go back to this a little bit. So this is fully automated now, and we can talk a little bit more in the Q&A. But there is the ability to have the option where your team can actually jump in and help out where needed. So, chatbot is kind of the first point of contact, and if it can't assist or doesn't understand, we can transition that over to your customer support to be able to provide assistance and answer questions. So I think as a business, as an agency, you can use chatbots to supplement your human workforce. It doesn't have to be either a chatbot or no chatbot, but leveraging that intelligence to serve the needs of your customers. And using this technology to free up your time so you focus where you need the most. This around humanizing technology, one thing that really struck out to me was when people chatted, they knew they were talking with a chatbot or a virtual assistant, and at the end of the conversation, they would say thank you or thank you for your help, and that was so fascinating to me because have you ever seen anyone thank a weather app on their iPhone when it provides the forecast, or thank you Microsoft Word when it successfully saves a document. But I think that conversations are so much a part of who we are as human beings that given this conversational interface, this chat interface, it really gives us a chance to go beyond what's been done in the past with standard technology. And I think by humanizing technology, we have this opportunity to build a sense of to kind of reimagine how we connect with machines, and maybe build a sense of trust between our customers and the technology. And that to me is a future that's well worth looking forward to, and I'm really excited to jump in. So with that, I wanted to welcome Josh. Josh, are you on?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me, Joseph?
Awesome. Yes, perfect. Awesome.
Great.
So I know I want to kind of get your perspective from an agency owner and get your insight on this. And I thought first I could kind of start with from your perspective, what are the advantages of an AI chatbot, or what about this technology interests you?
Yeah, so for me, it's twofold. It's one, it's what today's consumer is looking for, but then two, it's also what today's insurance agent needs. So I'll start with the consumer. As you've talked about at length, more and more people want to be able to do things online. And so providing this type of solution for your clients and prospective clients is something that they are looking for, especially if you are the type of agency that wants to grow in the next few years and be able to be relevant for many years to come. So it's something that they're looking for. And when we as insurance agents are looking to compete against the captive and direct writers that do offer the ability for people to be able to contact them 24/7. I think back to an agency friend of mine that was talking with a prospective client, and the person said to him, well, it's a lot more convenient and it's a lot better of an experience for me to deal with Geico rather than you. And that really floored him. But as he talked with the person more and talking with her about her lifestyle, when she was available to talk, she was only available to talk in the evenings. And myself and the majority of the people that are independent agency owners, they like to go home at dinner time, whether that's 5, 6, or 7 o'clock, and we're not going to necessarily be there to pick up the phone to answer a question. But your chatbot is always there. It's there 24/7. So your customers are starting to expect that because they're going to be coming from other carriers that have provided that type of service and that type of experience. So that's what I am looking for when it comes to the consumer. And then kind of relaying that to me for the agency, when I'm looking at facing, or what the industry is facing, which is going to be a talent shortage in the near future with our aging population, it's becoming more and more difficult to find qualified candidates to replace those people. So we're looking for the type of technology that can help us not completely replace them, but either somewhat or supplement what we're already doing. So this is going to allow me to be able to service my clients better. It'll free up my time so I can help more clients and be able to expand what I do on a daily basis during the 9 to 5 hours and also the after hours. So I think that being able to offer this and what consumers are looking for, extremely important, but to also be able to do more things as an agency owner is extremely valuable. So probably a little longer than you may have expected.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting to get that other side of it as well. And I know we're coming from a technology software kind of point of view, and I think InsurTech as a whole, there's so much news about it. I think I think before they used to just call it fintech. Now it's actually InsurTech the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you think about InsurTech for agencies today? Not just chatbots and AI, but just in general. When it comes to InsurTech, how do you I guess how important it is, and how do you kind of determine what makes sense for you and what doesn't?
Yeah, so when I'm looking at all the different things that are available, from having, a mobile-friendly website, having an app for my clients, having a chatbot for my clients, it's all things that are complementary to what we do. And if anyone has ever seen, that quick video GIF of taking a desk from the 1980s or 1990s, and then you slowly replace each item with today's technology. That's simply what we're doing. We are taking the things that we have been doing in the past, and we're just modifying how we use it. So, you may have gone and attended lots of chamber events before. Well, now you can host things through Skype or Facebook Live or Instagram Live. So it's simply, the InsurTech is giving us just a different way for us to continue to do business the way that we've done, just in a different means, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think to me, InsurTech is more about solving real problems than it is about disruption. I think it's like what you said, disruption is really little incremental things that change over time. And then you kind of look back over, the 5 years or whatever, and it's morphed into something that is totally disruptive. But I think to me, that's kind of how I define disruption and InsurTech. So I completely agree with you there.
Yeah.
I did forget to mention, if any of the attendees have questions, please do type it in the chat, and we do have time for myself or Josh to answer any questions that you have on the call. So please feel free to type them there in chat, and we'll just read them out as we go. Yeah, any questions, any other questions, Josh, did you have for me around kind of this technology or?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the things I know with talking with other agents once I did launch this is, one of the first questions they ask is, can a live person actually get involved in the conversation, or is it strictly the chat bot? So are agents able to kind of jump in to take things over? Is that ever possible?
Yeah, and I actually, in the best case scenario, this is the best case, where it's human plus AI, where it's augmenting your customer support agent. So we integrate with a number of backend systems. One of them is called FrontApp. And you can buy an agent seat. It's pretty inexpensive. And then we do this integration where kind of two main things. One is, if the chatbot does not understand something, it can transfer the whole conversation over to live agents. That's number one. Number two is, if a user says, hey, I'd like to speak with someone through chat here, can someone contact me now? It can also do that. And it will essentially pause itself and say, hey, I'm going to see if I can get someone to help you out. Ping somebody on the back end through an app on the desktop or their browser or a mobile app, and they can jump into the conversation. Hey, take it over. We can also set things around where, let's say, a minute and a half nobody comes on. It can turn itself back on and says nobody was available right now, or it's after hours, and we push your information in and they'll get back to you as soon as possible. So in an ideal world, if you can have that ability to transfer it over, I truly believe that is the best experience.
That's definitely something that you and I will have to talk about after the call. What about the chatbot? Open API is a hot word in InsurTech. With the chatbot, is it ever able to integrate with a CRM or an AMS, so that once all the information is gathered, that it can just be pushed into there and you have it ready and waiting for you when you get to the office the next day?
Yeah, so we definitely push all the data into your backend system. So right now, most of the modern day CRMs that have APIs, like Salesforce, HubSpot, Pipedrive, there are CRMs that we can push the data into, and also typically by email. So if you have an email address, quotes ad or sales ad or service ad, insuranceagency.com, we can push by email all the data. The agency management system is definitely a work in progress. I think part of the challenge there is working with some of the large providers, and they either don't have the ability or don't have the appetite to integrate. But it's something that I think they're starting to see more and more, and not only the big players, but there's other AMS providers coming to the market that do offer this ability. So it's something that we're pushing to do, and hoping we can get those partnerships in place to be able to fully integrate with some of the leading agency management systems. We've had a little bit of success in Canada with Applied Systems on some of their software systems, and I know there's others that we're in conversation with.
Well, very cool. One of the things that I was curious about, I don't think we had a chance to talk about this. There are basically 3 functions that the chatbot does: get a quote, service, and then the contact us. Of those 3, which one do people use the majority of the time? Are people going on there looking to get a quote? Are they looking to, change a car on a policy? Or are they looking just for someone to be able to contact them to begin some sort of conversation?
Yeah, I can run through some high level stats. So we're seeing that 70% of all conversations across, we have about 60 agencies using our platform right now. 70% of all conversations is new prospects, new business looking to get quotes. So that is the primary use case, and we've kind of made an effort to really build it out as this sales assistant, as an AI sales assistant. We're also finding that 30% of conversations are happening after hours and weekends. So people are coming in at all times of day and night, and sometimes even middle of the night, because they're coming on, they want to get information. We engage with them through chat, start a conversation, and then they leave their contact information that gets pushed in. We're seeing about 78% of people start the conversation, finish it all the way to the end. So when you look at most of these, if you look at online quoters or other stats, they're usually in the 40, sometimes 50% of people will complete through this conversation. It's more engaging, more interactive, so pretty high conversion rate there. Some of our clients, I'll give you an example. There's a very large agency that was looking to revamp their website because they were looking at their analytics and finding that people were landing on the site, not getting what they needed because they were dropping off, very quickly, and they weren't converting hardly any new leads from their website. So they approached us, and we built a version for them for their website, and they saw a 33% increase in new leads from their website, just not including people who are getting the assistance and linking them to the right pages, but a huge uptake in leads from their site without them even having to kind of redo and revamp their site. So they're doing that currently while they have this AI assistant kind of handling a lot of the first questions that are coming in and providing support and assistance. And then I would say that there are some of our clients who really do a good job of letting their current customers know that this even exists and promoting it in marketing, because they're used to communicating with their agency in a certain way. Now that they know that this option exists, they start to kind of use this more and more. So I know one client where I actually see the same customer coming over to make bill payments, and they always come back to the website, ask the questions, get the links, and then go directly to make a payment. So it's funny because you see the same. You would think they would bookmark the carrier's website directly. They're coming to their insurance agency site, going in through chat, and then getting the link to do that. So that's great. I'm just going to pop here and see if there's any questions. If anyone has any questions, feel free to type them in chat. Otherwise, Josh and I will keep going.
Yeah, we can do this all day. Regarding the fact that the majority of the people are using the chatbot for getting a quote, obviously the chatbot, especially with the one client that you helped, is increasing basically conversion. Does the chatbot, does it have any impact on SEO? So I know, again, that's a big topic, hot topic when it comes to InsurTech, is making sure that you have, you optimize your SEO. Does a chatbot play any sort of part of increasing your SEO to rank you higher so that people will start to find you?
I wouldn't say this is an SEO play. I think you do have to still make efforts to create content to whatever that channel is, your AdWords or Facebook ads, and all the steps you're doing to drive people to your site. You need to continue to do that. Now, Google will rank you for the time that a user spends on your website. So if they spend more time on your site, that does rank better, and also number of kind of interactions and clicks. So there is something there in terms of helping drive engagement and a better ranking with Google. But I would say that this is not like, I think the real benefit that many of our clients are seeing are the ones that are really digitally focused, that are taking steps to, as you said, redo your site, to do SEO, to drive content. And they're starting to, and they see the real ROI on a system like this versus, the alternative where it's just, kind of sitting there waiting for someone to come land on the site. So it's very important. I'll give you something that I thought was really neat from one of our clients. And it's kind of around driving engagement to the website and using the chatbot to do that. So what they did was they would add in 2 to 3 unique questions into the chatbot each month. And so let's say for the month of April, for example, and these are really funny or interesting or unique questions. And so their question in April was something along the lines of, what's the most a human tongue has ever been insured for, and who owns it? So, quite a crazy question. And then they would post that on their social media site, on the Facebook, on Twitter, on other platforms. And people would be like, what? Like, ask the chatbot, what's the most a human tongue has ever been insured for? And apparently there's some ice cream taster who insured his tongue for $1 million or something crazy. So, and people would like it and share it and then come to the site and actually try it out. And that ended up driving kind of engagement to the website. So I think that's a creative way to say insurance is not always boring. We can, chat with our chatbot and ask this question. And while you're at it, you can also get a quote and kind of, using ways like that to drive engagement.
Well, that's the marketing tip of the day for everyone. So that is very cool. Very cool. Now, just in general, have we had anyone ask any questions? Anyone out there? I know there are a few of you that are out there. Anyone have any questions for Joseph about this? Anything that you're definitely wanting to know? Speak now. No? Nothing.
Nothing yet. But
nothing yet. All right. We'll get someone by the end. On a high level, can you kind of explain the difference between AI, artificial intelligence, and chatbot? Are they one and the same? Are they built on each other? Are they separate? Kind of how do they relate? Because I think that a lot of people, including myself, we probably use one phrase that means something completely different when it actually, when we think it means the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So artificial intelligence is a very big term, and it encompasses so many different things. I think really it's kind of the science and engineering of making intelligent machines or intelligent computer programs. I think, simply put, the goal of AI, is to make computers and computer programs smart enough to imitate kind of humans. So chatbots, on the other hand, they're programs that interact with humans via text or voice. You could think of Alexa, Siri, Cortana. They're also chatbots. Now, some chatbots have no AI at all. So these could just be straightforward interactions where it asks a question, the user inputs a question, and moves on to the next question. You're not applying any type of natural language processing or AI to it. But the one that we use is, we're using really at the core natural language processing, which is a subset of AI, and we've trained it on hundreds of insurance questions that are specific to the insurance industry. And so the chatbots we provide and that we build have AI on the back end, but they don't, they could be AI chatbots, or they could just be chatbots. And artificial intelligence, again, is a very broad term that can mean so many different things. When you look at, image processing or speech recognition, and self-driving cars, and so many predictive text and so many other things that come under that term. So I think hi, Rebecca. I'm not seeing any questions.
We have a number of questions that came in, and I was wondering if you'd like me to read them.
Yes.
Sure, yeah, for some reason I'm not seeing them.
Okay.
Oh,
The first question is, can your system, can your chatbot system collect information necessary and respond with a quote? If yes, what lines and what companies?
So actually, we're talking with a number of online quoting engines to do an integrated version. I know in Canada we have that ability using Applied Systems WebRater, where you can do a full home and auto quote and actually right from within the chatbot display the rates. We're still in talks with a few of the large quoting engines to see if we can get that integration in place. We don't currently have it, but I believe that it's something that's very important, and I think even as a lot of the carriers start to open up their APIs, we're going to start to see more and more of this fully integrated quoting inside the chatbot like we have in Canada.
Joseph, could you describe how it can currently be used right now to replace a static quote collection form, and how it is for the North Carolina version customized to ask a series of questions depending on what kind of insurance quote they're interested in when they come to the website?
Yes. So as part of the partnership we have with IANC, we a number of agencies actually looked at the entire quote process through home, auto, business, and all the FAQs, and they provided input and edits and added to that knowledge base to essentially say for any North Carolina agency, we have this quote process of specific questions that are built for North Carolina, and these are built into this version that we built for North Carolina. So, if you did decide that this makes sense and you'd like to move forward in that setup process, we walk through that document of all the questions and answers that are built into this version, and at that point, you have the ability to customize or remove or edit. But the framework has been, the hard work has been built. The framework has been built, so it's fairly easy to get up and running very quickly. And you can go through each of the quote requests and look at the questions that are being asked and include them or remove them or edit them. So I think I do really want to thank IINC and the task force who helped us to provide us the content and the specifications to build it specifically for North Carolina. And so they've done a lot of the heavy lifting. I think this is so key when you're looking at partnering with any type of technology providers. You're the experts in your field, and working together with your partners is where I think it provides you're the experts in the industry. Working together with partners is where you get the best products that are actually built by agencies and built to serve the needs of the customers.
Leading into that, we have a follow-up question. Can it be customized to an agency's specific questions and answers?
Yes, it can be customized. The framework's built, but the agency has the ability to customize both in terms of the personalization of it and what it says, but also the actual questions and answers that are being put in.
Okay. And can this be added to a current website for the agency, or is there a new site that would have to be created to add the chatbot?
So we can integrate with any website. We've never had an issue where, including some of the websites that are very old, it's a snippet of JavaScript code that we give you to load, and we can do it, or your website guy can do it, and you're up and running in 2 minutes. Once your chatbot is approved and ready to go live, it's a little snippet of code that you paste on to get you live. So I don't think we've had any issues with any loading it on any website so far.
Do the chatbot conversations come in a form that they are able to add as an activity and task in their agency management system?
So currently we don't have the integration in place with the agency management systems, although it's something that we're pushing for and we're in talks with, especially the 2 to 3 leading AMS providers. So we're hoping that we can have something like this in place as soon as possible.
And then the last couple of questions, I believe you actually have slides for. Is there a setup fee? Is there always support? And what are the implementation timelines? Okay,
awesome. So I'll jump into that. I think we have a couple of minutes here. So Yes, as I mentioned, we're very excited to launch a North Carolina version in partnership with IANC and the agency that you can see here. So we were down at the Insure Expo where we kicked that off, and this is part of our launch. So I'll walk through some of the pricing here, but we do have a special promotion for the month of May where you can receive 15% off of your annual subscription, and you can use that link below, pronavigator.ai /IIANC to set up your a demo to kind of walk through it and answer any personal questions you may have. So again, that's pronavigator.ai /IIANC. So I'll kind of jump through the pricing here. So we have a couple of plans that are included in and features that are included in it. So our standard plan is $250 a month, and that gets you up to 100 monthly conversations per month. You do get 15% off of that with the promotion we have. We have 10 dialogue flows, and so an example of a dialogue flow would be an auto quote. That would be one dialogue flow. A home quote would be 2, and so on. So you get up to 10 there. Our standard plan typically has 50 questions, FAQs built in. With the North Carolina version, we actually have 150 built in that come with it. Again, support where if you need to jump on a call with us, we're happy to do that. We do have different tiers of support depending on the plan you're on. Analytics, so we do provide a dashboard. I'll jump to that here. So this is a dashboard that we provide for each of our agencies, where it tracks the number of conversations that are happening per day, per week, per month. So you can toggle between views, the types of, this is just a screenshot, part of it is cut off here, but the types of quote requests, the types of service requests, and broken down. Again, on the standard plan that's included, on the premium plan, we can track even more. You can say these things are important to me, and we can track those. You get email notifications of all the leads. We can personalize the avatar. So that's just a designer cost to kind of build out the to get the image and customize that. And then we do custom integrations on the premium plan. We are releasing a Google Home and Alexa version Q3, so you can take this whole experience in chat, and you can say, "Hey Alexa," or "Hey Google Home, get me a quote from Lipstone Insurance," for example, and that's going to kick in through voice and show you the exact same experience that you had through chat, but now in voice. And that's something we're super excited to relaunch, because I think voice is definitely the future. So this gives you kind of a snapshot of the plans that are included and the features that are important to you. And again, if you go to that link and put in your information, myself or Ben will jump on a call with you and walk you through any other questions that you might have. Were there any other questions there, Rebecca?
Implementation timeline. So once someone signs the contract with you to get the chatbot, can you give them a little bit about the expectations and the implementation to expect?
So if you're going with a standard plan and you're okay with a lot of the pre-built flows and FAQs built in, we can even have you up and running in a week. If there's more customization required, either in terms of integration, or you're on the premium plan and you want to add and edit more, then that typically takes 2 weeks. And again, depending on how much integration is required. But because that the hard work done beforehand, it allows us the speed to get you up and running fairly quickly. And our big advantage is, no, we've actually waived the setup fee for North Carolina, so there isn't a setup fee. It's a month-to-month subscription, and the framework has been built.
And do the agencies own the chatbot?
I'm not sure what you mean by that. Do you mean that they? I mean.
I think once they no longer subscribe to the service, the chatbot goes away. So when the chatbot is being implemented, they get to pick the avatar, they get to customize it to their agency. And I know one of the questions is customization, Joseph. So maybe you could just talk about the type of things you customize, the agency hours, the staff phone numbers, the lines of insurance, the different things like that. But I think once the service is no longer there, then the chatbot goes away. So I think the answer to that would probably be no. They don't own the chatbot.
Yeah, because so a couple of things that we do, like our advantage is we focus on the insurance industry. So we can take learnings from across our client base to train this core engine. So what that means is that a conversation happening on your chatbot is training this engine. And then, if it asks a question that's already been answered, and been trained on, it's going to understand what the user's trying to say. So you're able to kind of leverage this from across our client base because we focus on the insurance industry. But yeah, if the subscription didn't make sense, then the service would come down and you no longer have access to it. In terms of the customization, the avatar, the naming of the avatar, the carriers that you work with, the employee directory, your contact hours and information. You can remove any FAQs that you don't want or questions in the auto request or home request that you don't want. You can remove that on the premium plan and premium plus. You can actually add in your own and edit and say, hey, I don't like this one. I want to put this in and completely change it around and almost kind of rebuild it the way you want it to. And so those are kind of the major customizations that are included. You may want to have it on more than one channel. So website comes with it, but you may want it on Facebook Messenger, or you may want it on SMS or Google Home or Alexa. And those are all optional channels that you can add on as well, depending on where you think the best return is for that.
The last question that we have is, how long is the contract for the monthly fee?
So the billing here on the standard plan is semi-annual, so it'd be a 6-month contract. That gives us enough time to see if this is a good fit, if it makes sense for you, and if it doesn't make sense, then you can just take it down. And so after the 6 months, it kind of converts into a month-to-month agreement. So the first 6 months would be semi-annual on the standard. On the premium plan, it's monthly.
Can we customize it to quote different companies? Is there a limit?
So the quoting piece, I think you would have to have some sort of quoting engine to be able to do that. Right now, it'll ask kind of a standard list of questions and then push that information into you, and then you're able to get in contact with the user and provide quotes from all the different companies. But when we do have quoting, we'll definitely announce it and have that option to be able to do that.
Okay, that is the last of the questions that we have, Joseph. And Josh, is there anything else that you would like to add?
I think that Joseph covered it all. Great job.
Yeah, thank you. I think just to wrap things up here, how can we help here at ProNavigator? I think it's something that we get up in the morning every day and we continue to push the envelope on, and we really are trying to build a category defining experience when it comes to the whole purchase and service experience in insurance, and it's all delivered for the insurance industry. So we're here to help you use artificial intelligence, as Josh was saying, to level the playing field, turn this into a competitive advantage for your business. And we're excited to be at the table with you as you grow your companies, and that's what we're here to do, and we'd love to help. So feel free to reach out to us, even if you just have questions.
Great. Well, thank you, Joseph, and thank you, Josh. We appreciate your time, and thank you for all our IINC members that attended. Hope you all have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. Take care.